Hello, everybody, and welcome to Capsule Teams. I am your host, DoorGuard, and this week we have our very special team and coach, Zal of GT. What's going on, Zal?
Oh, not much. I'm excited to be here. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's going to be real fun to have you, and as always, I am welcomed by a lovely co-host in Oasis this week.
Sal's actually here. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. How is everyone?
Zal is
So the
a
fangirling begins.
He's an infinitely hard person to get a hold of due to his constantly changing zip codes, phone numbers, and other things. Being the coach of GT has many enemies, and he may not tell us about any of them, but we do know that he's kind of like the Jason Bourne of the league.
That is the greatest compliment I could ever receive. Wow.
There
Thank
you
you
go, my
so
friend.
much.
Well, without further ado, shall we get going on to what is GT?
Yeah, absolutely. So, GT is basically the team in the league that is associated with the, I guess, spin-off series sequel of Dragon Ball Z called Dragon Ball Grand Tour. Yeah, that's the basic premise of the team.
Yeah, it's been a team that's been around for a very short period of time, kind of a blimp in the history. And kind of what brought you to it, seeing as how it was a new team only created last season.
Well, I've been on Namek since season 4, I believe, and after 6 or 7 seasons there, I eventually just decided that I wanted something new, and none of the other teams particularly interested me until I heard about uh, the potential for GT to be added to the league. Um, that was really the only team that caught my eye, and I guess at some point I just decided, hey, I'm willing to be the coach if it needs it. I'll do it if it means that it can become a reality. And that was basically the entire reason I went there.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a lot of there's several new teams that certainly inspired some people to jump through. Uh, I guess saying that you're from Namek and having the old Namek coach Oasis, was it heartbreak losing your friend Zal when he traveled on to coach another team, or was it a great challenge to gain a rival coach?
Definitely both. I would say personally, I was sad to see Zal not come back to Namek since he had been away from the team for quite a bit. But seeing him on a new team, flourishing and leading the team as he has, Namek really made my day or made the league for me. So seeing him, take charge of his characters, take charge of his team, build, do all this crazy nonsense. It was great to see. So it was a good mix of bittersweet and
Yeah, for sure. I think any time that there's a split with supporters, coaches, and the such, it can be sad in the moment, but one of those fun things later down the line when you can there can be a rival coach, and then you're able to challenge them a little more, and maybe not every season being in the same guise, obviously, and a lot of that changes from season to season with all the changes going on, but certainly it becomes an unnamed divisional to a degree when going up against those old comrades per se.
right,
Hmm.
exactly.
So I guess did you want to go a little bit of the history of your time in the league besides being like an old Namek, supporter, or you gotta hold that
Uh,
with your Jason Bourne
Sorry, me?
backstory?
Okay. Um, so basically, I think I'm 19 now, so I think I would have been 14 or 13 when I joined the league, and I went to Namek as Piccolo is my favorite character. Um, and I really liked it while I was there. I got there and bonded really well with Oasis and Mesmery, who were on the team at the time, and then was pretty steady. And then season 7 and 8, I stepped up and became the coach of Namek, and that was a good time. We did pretty well. Season 7 was a little lackluster, but season 8 we really pulled it together. And that's where I got a lot of my ideas for running GT nowadays, was just going back on what I did with Namek and finding similar cases and applying my answer to them to GT's case. Um, then I guess around season 9, I believe I took a break from the league. Season 9 or 10, I think. And then when I heard that well, not season 11, but season 2020 rather, was starting up, I just decided, hey, it's good as time any to get back into some old hobbies, and yeah. And then I found GT, and
Certainly
I
has
think,
been one of the
oh,
longer
sorry,
time supporters, and yeah, it's always interesting. You have a very interesting story in being like an ex-coach per se, coming back to the league, taking up the new team, giving them some direction.
yeah, yeah, and honestly, I was really nervous to just I wanted to come back and be a supporter initially, but I heard like GT didn't have any guaranteed coach or anyone who wanted the position, so that made me quite nervous coming back and jumping right into a coaching position. But well, other than you know issue like scheduling issues, I think I'm pretty happy with the job I performed in season 2020.
Yeah, Oasis, obviously with Zal stepping away, allowed you to step up as coach, and you've been able to bring Namek to a pretty decent spot as well over the seasons. I know you won't always admit to that, but they have stayed very competitive since he's left. And when he came back and jumped on GT, as you said, it was heartbreak but competition. Is that you guys plan on keeping it a nice rivalry in the chat as the season goes along?
Only if
Uh,
Zell lets me.
oh
Definitely.
yes, I was gonna
You
say
know,
I absolutely would love to continue the rivalry between, well, I guess less so GT and Namek, more so the friendly competition between me
there
and
you go.
Oasis.
I mean, I would be lying to say if I didn't say that most of these builds and you know coaching style didn't stem from the way you did it while you were at Namek. Like you inspired a lot of the way Namek had evolved over these seasons, and I can't thank you enough for that. But this
Oh,
isn't about Namek; it's about GT.
no,
Yeah,
well, yeah, honestly, it's difficult to really, it is difficult to actually, it's impossible to talk about my experience in the league and why I do what I do as far as building GT without mentioning Namek to some degree. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's just kind of how it is with how different this team is. Was kind of the same when we had Snuffy talking about cinema, being that all of her experience was from the Vals, where maybe I came from the Boos to the Boojins, which is a little more transferable. A lot more teams
hmm
were a lot less transferable with you know, speaking of which, your team being mostly characters that were kind of found in the free agent pool for a long time.
yes, I think what three of my characters currently were free agent only, um, or two now, but it was three if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know Baby
but now
and
that we have,
Shin for the longest time were only free agents.
was Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta also free agent only?
Yes, he had
He
a
was.
free agent nerf as well.
Yes, there we go. Yeah. Um, now, I guess Baby, as most know, is on a loan this season. So two of our five characters were free agent only rather, and are exclusive to our team, I believe. So that is quite a nice thing to know.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of characters, shall we get moving on to the first one of the squad, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta himself?
Yeah, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I would definitely say, as someone that's worked with him for one season, he is probably going to be our all-star this coming season, just due to his fantastic melee potential. Like, and if I choose to go towards the route of Rush Blast, I may. I'm not sure at the moment, but um, yeah, he's got a lot of potential damage output, which is what I'm really excited to see. Just how well he uses that. Like Oasis, what do you like think about Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta?
Oh, I think he's a fantastic character. I mean, aside from the fact that his rush B2 is 4 bars, correct me if I'm wrong, he has the potential to be a 50, 60K character every single week. And then on top of that, does he have finish line? I don't remember.
He does.
He does. See, look at that. So he has the ability to honestly work in so many different roles. It's frustrating. Like if you were to compare him to Namek, he'd be like a late Piccolo of sorts, where he could be on defense, still have offensive potential through finish sign, or he could be on attack plus two like you have him on now, or he could be on key plus like you see on Gogeta. And the list goes on and on. Like this character has so many tools to work with, so many avenues to take him down or to go down with him that like he it has the potential to be an all-star character. And I think near the later half of last season, you really started to show that potential with how he was dominating in the first slot of your lineups typically.
Yeah, yeah, because actually, a funny note about last season was, for the first half of the season, I believe, um, I had GT Goku Super Saiyan 3 as our melee designated character, and Vegeta was the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was the B2 designated character. He was always on Key Plus. And we weren't doing very well in the first half of the season, and then I eventually just decided, yo, we've seen Vegeta work on these melee builds, and we've seen there's potential for Goku to work on a key build, but the payoff with Vegeta was definitely worth the transition for the second half of the 2020 season.
Yeah, I mean, for those that are listening and not able to watch, just a few of the pros and cons I have listed kind of in the slides. Is, as probably said several times now, is Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta has great melee. He is a Vegeta, so he has Vegeta Clash Rush Blast. His B2s, while they have been nerfed, still do some pretty good damage, especially the ult. And of course, being in Super Saiyan 4, he's embraced Monkey, at least partially. The only thing there are a few cons though, unfortunately, being that his rush as part of the nerf became a 4-bar rush. Being that he has such good rush blast, he's banned from Master Blast and Rush Blast 2. Just straight up, just can't have him. And with any melee character, and usually going in on the attack plus 2, defense minus 1, they become a little volatile because they can certainly take a little more damage than maybe they're used to. So it can create times where while they're strong, they can certainly get blown up at the same time. So very, very strong character, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be terrifying just this off season. I've been using Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta as kind of like the melee pinnacle to test my team against, and he's a tough cookie to crack, I'll tell you.
Well, yeah, and honestly, oh, I was about to say something about Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and it suddenly slipped my brain. Regardless, okay, well, we can move on from
I
Yeah,
will
for sure.
say this one last thing before we move on. Is that, like you were saying, Zal, about how you transitioned from key to attack plus two or attack plus on Vegeta. I've noticed a lot in the league that Vegetas have been doing like a mass Vegeta transition, I guess, from key or super plus to attack plus has been happening. And I know in like season 7 through 9 ish, most Vegetas were on a B2 spam build. But now you have like S Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta on attack plus two, you have N Vegeta on attack plus one, you have Majin Vegeta on attack plus two, or is it super
it.
plus
Is
two now? Maybe
Mid
I'm not entirely
Vegeta?
sure.
If I recall correctly,
Yeah,
Mid
mid
Vegeta was on
Vegeta, yeah.
attack 2 for a while as
He's
well.
Yeah,
like pretty much only been on attack plus 2 for a long time.
there you go.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, the reason why I brought this up is because even though this may be a AI run league, the fact that the metas keep changing these builds, shifting characters like these from, B2 spam to attack, rush, melee, whatever, it's still pretty extraordinary. And your Vegeta is no different. For better, it seems.
Hopefully. Well, yes, we'll see in this upcoming season if he's up to the task.
For
Oh,
sure.
last question before
Yeah.
we move on. Do you do you like starting Vegeta, or is that just a matchup? Uh,
Um,
is it conditional on the matchup?
I don't have any designated, like, position for any character, but oftentimes I do notice with other teams that Vegeta he's kind of like a glass cannon, and on the weeks that he doesn't want to work well, and it's a weird kind of glass cannon, because the weeks that he doesn't want to work well, he'll, like DoorGuard was saying, he'll take massive damage, and then he'll do like 30k, and it's kind of disappointing. But the weeks that he does like to work, he just has such high output that as long as I feel almost any character, if he decides to work, he can take on basically anyone, in my opinion. It's just a matter of finding consistency for him. Though I also think that applies to most characters in the league.
Yeah,
That's a high opinion.
yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen many characters that take that defense minus with strides.
Yeah, and honestly, Mid Vegeta from I think he's Earth Defenders now was a
Yes.
fantastic example. He went elite, if I recall correctly, the first time we saw him on that attack build. So it was yeah, I definitely there's tons of potential there for not just the Vegeta, but for attack plus characters. If they honestly a coin a term that our old coach Mesmery coined was the Bulldog Fighter, and I think they are quite dangerous.
Yeah, every team has their one now. Well, should we move on to the second character of your entourage?
Yes, absolutely.
So, just going over GT Goku a little bit, he's been a character that's had much controversy due to the fact that he has so many forms. But overall, it's mostly due to the fact that he has very strong B2s. Uh, I mean, his base form has like one of the giant Spirit Bomb ults, and I think some of his other forms utilize it as well. Being that he's a Rugrat-sized character, his melee is incredibly fast, and as of recently, he's been allowed to transform into Super Saiyan 4, which has been an incredibly, blessed move now that they've removed the fusion. The only cons though with that being is he can't start in any of his in that monkey Super Saiyan 4 form, uh, and as he changes forms, his B2s can be very strong to a little lackluster, going from volleys to rushes and such and so forth. And being a Goku too, we call it Goku syndrome, where they can be incredibly strong, and then sometimes you're really questioning what they're doing out there. So, Zal, how would you
Yes,
describe your kind of atomic bomb here?
I think um, Goku syndrome is a very good term to use for him because well, sometimes he'll come out and I've seen him fire, two, maybe even three if I'm lucky, of those the massive spirit bombs, the super spirit bomb. And those matches I'm very thankful for, but then it'll be like the next round in a test, he's all of a sudden just flying all over the place, charging up randomly and then not doing anything with his ki. It's just the whole consistency thing that I think is very common with well, actually just Goku's in general. Oasis, what are like kind of your thoughts on GT Goku?
Personally, for me, he outside of Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku, he's really a mystery since I've never seen him perform outside of Super Saiyan 3. I haven't seen very much of him in base or in Super Saiyan. I've seen a little bit of him in Super Saiyan 4, but he's usually derping out and not doing much in that form, if I recall correctly. Uh, Personally speaking, I would say that Super Saiyan 1 is my favorite form. Just, I love Super Saiyan 1 as a whole. And seeing him in that form is definitely, especially, it's definitely nice to me. B2s are alright, B1s are alright. Definitely not as good as, some of his other forms. Overall, he seems like a good, he well, seems like he is a good character, just with a lot of different perks to him that you just need to nail down which is the best. You know.
Hmm.
So let me ask you this though: which form thus far is your favorite, based on the
Um,
league and then based in general, like show wide?
in the show, I'd definitely say that for GT Goku's character, I'd say Super Saiyan 4 is definitely my favorite in the show. Um, but for the league, I'm kind of at a 50-50 split between base form and Super Saiyan 1.
Really?
Because yeah, base form's got now he's got that chargeable Kamehameha, which is iffy, and then he's got the um his Dragon Fist Rush, which doesn't track or anything like that. It's just a straight short dash, and it does fantastic damage. But the kicker for him is, like I mentioned, that Super Spirit Bomb. It pulls through really anytime he uses it, and that makes me very thankful. Versus Super Saiyan 1 Goku, who has a Super Kamehameha, which again is pretty good, a little iffy though, um, and the volley attack, which is not that great, um, and then a Super Explosive Wave Ultimate, which almost always hits, but he doesn't have any. He's got a bit more of a reliable set as opposed to GT Goku's um, Glass Cannon payoff set. So I think this season I'm betting on base Goku, but I don't know. That could change very easily next season.
Sense. Honestly, I can definitely see him being either your ult spammer in base form or a standard B2 spammer in Super Saiyan form. Because Super Kamehameha, while it can be iffy, should not be underestimated. We've seen AIs just fly into him while he's charging.
Yeah, exactly. And it can do upwards of, like, I don't know, like with Super Plus 2 it can do like 12 to 15k if I recall correctly. Factoring in
Exactly.
indignation, it can be crazy. Door, what are your kind of opinions on base Goku versus Super Saiyan GT Goku?
I mean, as it's come along, I thought Super Saiyan 3 was really hype, but we saw after a season it was kind of frustrating to work with, and certainly seemed to lack. Base has been super fun to watch with the just, as said, he seems to always come out, throw the Super Spirit Bomb ult, and it just does so much damage, and it's so big, and it's so hard to dodge. Very Kid Buu-esque, and just coming out and blowing up stuff. Uh, personally, I wish it was a little easier to see the Super Saiyan 4 Goku because it's such an iconic and visually interesting form. It's one of the fun
Yeah,
parts about Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is he's just in it and it's fun to look at. And while maybe it's a little strong because I think it has the B1, what's it like? I can beat you in 5 seconds. It just like maxes his stats. It's a little rough, for sure, but you take the goods with the bads, and the fact that he can, if he has enough black stocks, go straight from base to Super Saiyan 4 means there's still some big hope to seeing it a few times this season since he's not been holding a Broly's ring. But yeah,
yeah,
certainly
yeah.
all around, like, got lots of cool things, but the middle forms can be a little more interesting and bland to a degree.
hmm Yeah, I was that was definitely a payoff, or not a payoff. It was a con rather, um, to going with base form, was that the chance of seeing Super Saiyan 4 was lowered a lot, and I did really want to see it because, it just became possible. So it's kind of a hype thing, but I don't know. I still have hope that he'll pull it out maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the season.
Yeah, there's certainly the potential for that. I don't believe he's banned from anything like Computer Secret Arts as well, so if you wanted to force Blastox on him, it's certainly there. But those being used in the
Yeah,
way you want is always a hard part.
yeah, AIs.
And you've also had you were a team that made Dragon Spirit quite usable with Baby last season, so that's another Patara that's also been seeing more use this season in testing. So there are ways to get Blastox out there, but they tend to be 2 or more points.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's a big thing right there too, is because Super Saiyan 1 has um six Blastox. I think GT Goku in general has 6 Blastox, but um in Super Saiyan 1 he has a a max power mode one, and I did try for a little bit there to kind of make a Kibito secret art build that rounded him up to, like, ultimate max power mode, ultimate max power mode, ultimate, and just get 3 ultimates off real quick, and then he's good to die. But of like you said exactly, the issue is in whether the AI actually does what I want them to.
And I think Oasis and I can certainly harp on for days on trying to get AI to function correctly on our characters. So a shared
Absolutely.
Yeah,
consensus in the league. Well, if you guys are ready, we can also get moving on to the third and one of the biggest changed characters in this off season. You guys ready to talk about Shin Shenron?
Yes, sir. I am absolutely ready.
So, for those that don't know, last season he was forced to wear Broly's ring and he was not allowed to absorb the Dragon Balls and go Omega. But this season he is allowed. So he can't start in it, so it's not fully like, oh, we get to see Omega. But he is able to transform. However, there's another downside in that it costs 3 blast stocks, so it's a little more expensive. Though he has a lot of other, benefits to him besides just being able to go Omega. He has very strong Rush Blasts, in fact. He's been able to utilize all kinds of Pataras for that since apparently his high base stats just allowed him to have some pretty crazy stuff with it. Uh, and he's been an incredibly consistent tank since switching to that mid last season. Though he does have his cons, the transformation being so, you know, expensive, and the fact that it doesn't give him ki or health when he transforms, just a new move set, is a little rough. Mixed with the fact that in both forms he has one of the slowest grabs in the game, and it's also very weak damage-wise, so it's very frustrating. I bet Zal would love to just not even worry about that grab if he could have it removed.
I hate that grab so effing much, man. It's the worst.
For sure. And
Take
then
off Master
finally,
Blast.
yeah. The other restriction he has is that if he has an attack plus Batara, so attack plus 1 or attack plus 2, he cannot use Rush Blast or Master Blast. So, or Rush Blast 2 or Master Blast. So, slight limitations on his power, but with him being mostly using defense Bataras, Master Blast can just fit as a nice single point to give him some nice extra damage there. So Zal, this has obviously been a character that has floated around a lot throughout the years, and last season was obviously a rougher season with him. But with these changes, how's he looking to shape up? I guess what are you hoping for from him?
Honestly, from Shin slash Omega, I'm really just looking for the 35-40K mark. I don't have very high expectations just because um I've tested every single AI several times over, and all of them love to spam that grab, no matter what. That's the one consistency with with everything he does is that grab interrupts him all the time, and he almost always pays for it. So, it's something that's almost a handicap for him, and I guess at the end of the day, the best I really want for him is just that 35K.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, this is a character that technically can be on the Namex Master List. Oasis, seeing what he's been able to accomplish and what has been allowed from him, what are your thoughts on the character, since he is technically something that can be in your view?
I would be laughing right now if I didn't want to blow out your microphone. But hey, that's besides the point. Zal, I love this character. I love Omega. I love Sin because he just fits right in with the terrible grab gang. He has great melee. His B2s are garbage, but hey, it is what it is. Uh, I hope this season you would be willing to consider taking a Fasha approach with Sin. Because even though his grab is, takes an eternity to get off, having him do damage with his melee, I feel like might help him out a little bit and boost his number. Especially since Baby is gone and melee Fedora kind of is floating around, I assume. Correct me if I'm wrong. But hopefully we see more. Hopefully we will get to see Omega, transform and not pull a Goku where he transforms, does nothing, and dies. Whereas if he just stayed in his base form, he would have, done damage. Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've only seen him as a tank with defense plus 2, eternal life, master blast, master blast, master blast.
Yeah, for sure there
Yeah,
is. Yeah, go ahead, Zal.
sometimes that. Sorry, man. Yeah, sometimes that Master Blast is that's the interchangeable Patara in my opinion. Oftentimes I'll I was like, in theory, I've had Sirius there, Latent Energy, Fighting Spirit, just really anything because while that grab kind of ruins his melee game for him, often, um, his B2s, well, super trap shooters, obviously OP. Um, he also has Blazing Storm, which is actually a really good B2. Um, and that does a lot of damage. I think it's like 7k for 3 bars, which is, not particularly amazing or anything, but the hit rate is fantastic. Um, yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I think an area you guys were probably considering, but it's you've been having so much else to work on, being a new team and only having this being your second testing season to get everything under control, is potentially maybe someday a defense plus two Den days, and that way you can fit more Pataras on him because he does seem to be. I would compare him a lot to Evil Boo in that he really likes his defense plus two, and he likes to have some healing for sure, and maybe even with latent defense was two in 10 days, it's just like, oh, that maybe that's tanky enough to finally like put more damage on him. But he certainly has shown this off season, even with just Master Blast, Defense was two, and Eternal Life, to be able to do some mad damage and stay alive long enough to go into Omega. And then if he gets a B2 or two off, it's just quite terrifying. So no matter what way you guys seem to be able to go, as long as he's able to survive, he seems to be one of those. He will deal his damage. He just needs to be alive long enough to deal it.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. But that's basically all I really have to say about Shenron.
Well, shall we get on to one of the terrors of the league, the infamous blue shirt Pan?
Oh God, yes, okay. Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, she's a character that B2 wise may have been seen as weaker with Kamehameha, Gil Missile, and her ult being Maiden's Wrath, but she has shown that they can be immensely powerful. Obviously, having a blue shirt's just overpowered and needs to be nerfed. And she's been a Clash queen, always taking in her Dragon Power to Power of Rage, and likes to win them as well. The unfortunate results, though, of being in the position she's at is her melee maybe is a little bit weaker. She has an innate defense minus, and that rush ult, while incredibly high damaging, is still a rush ult, and as anybody can attest to people with lots of rushes, they can be frustrating at the best of times. So Zala, she's become infamous as a glass cannon for a reason. What is your story of Pan?
Huh. So honestly, with Pan, I kind of Pan was a big reason that I actually liked GT when I first saw it because I really wanted to work with a really crappy character. I did. I really wanted an act like a challenge was really it, and Pan was the perfect challenge. Uh, because that defense minus absolutely tears her apart in any melee situation except for clashes. So instead, what I did with Pan was rather than try and like give her a defense plus or an attack or something like that to balance out her melee game, I really just landed on screw it, just forego her melee completely. We're going all B2s in Clash because Gill Missile, high Clash chance, Maiden's Rage, you don't see it often, but it can clash as well. And Kamehameha is high damage, so and like Oasis was saying earlier, it's they tend to hit and mess with AIs a lot. So um yeah, that whole thing right there kind of just made me think, yeah, she's got a good setup for just a flat out B2 clasher, and that's really what I did for her because I believe she has the highest natural charge rate on our team. Um, and that was also a big reason as to why I decided, you know, B2s are the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes the secret to a character is seeing, instead of trying to build them for what they're weak, is try to expand on what they're strong at. And while that leaves her open more often than not, it does mean that when she does do what she's good at, it's extremely good. And it's become something where she's actually been something quite hard to deal with. And if she gets going, and it can be absolutely terrifying. So she's certainly
Mhm.
been a character that has found her way in the league, while maybe not considered like the most consistent or the highest pop off or whatever. She's made her place and deservedly so. How would you describe her, Oasis? She is a character that would clash with your team a fair amount.
To say the least, she's definitely a spunky character uh, in this league. She has definitely more ways than one to get damage off, and more ways than one to surprise us, and how much damage she gets off. I personally don't have much to say on her outside of the fact that she just has Kamehameha, one of the better B2s in the game, and After Image Strike, which proves to be a bane to my existence anytime I face it, at least. I'm not sure about any other team, although I could be wrong about that. Well,
It's
I'm
a
more interested in is it?
Yeah, I was gonna say
It
a lot of people find it to be a frustrating B1 to deal with.
gotcha. Okay, so she does have it. See, I actually didn't
I'm not
because I remember
100% if she has it,
After
but
Image
if she does, teams would not be happy for sure.
there. But what I'm more interested in is not, I wouldn't say cult, but like how the following of Blue Shirt Ham started. Because I never understood that.
Um, yeah, the blue shirt. So the blue shirt pan following is mostly a meme. It's just I'm pretty sure I don't actually know the origin, but I'm pretty sure one time Pan just got moved to costume too, and she did really well, and it just kind of became a meme from there about the blue shirt being superior. And lo and behold, when I moved her to costume two in like week four or something like that, she did fantastic. She got like 50K or something like that. And part of that was also that I had her on a new AI, if I recall correctly. But yeah, something about costume too, that blue shirt just makes her go crazy on the opponents. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those anomalies of the league. Some characters seem like when you change their costumes, it really does change them, and it's cause theories that costume changes AI. But for others, it's just a costume. It doesn't change anything. So she's been kind of pivotal on the side of no, 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 it does change something. Just look at Pan. She goes blue shirt and she just murders everybody. And it's not even like a 1 week thing. She seems half consistent with being able to just like deal her stuff. Even in the weeks she does bad, she's like doing stuff and it makes people scared and shiver. So it's just one of those weird things that has happened where it's been, a blessing for them and it's caused some terror in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, is there any other remarks you guys have on Pan the Blue Shirt Almighty?
Um, Honestly, no. She's a pretty simple character to work with. It's yeah, not very complex or anything like that.
Pretty straight down the line. Well, the final member of the current squad, the one who got loaned for Super Baby, is the Peel Off Machine. Pivotal character in the story, one that was done during a earlier section before a lot of the changes happened and caused a little bit of some dysphoria for sure in the league. He does have his pros though. He has some pretty decent B2s, some pretty decent B1s, and he has all the benefits of being an android, such as passive charge rate. He can't be key broken, um, and such and so forth. Though he does have a rush ultimate, which has caused some issues. Being a character, while influential in GT, the Peel Off Machine form is from Dragon Ball, so it's lower damage. And it does have a giant form, so it has to start in base form. But that giant form's got a good B2 and a very, very bad B2, which has caused lots of issues as well, basically forcing a Broly's ring. So, Zal, if you don't want to talk too much on Peel Off Machine, I know it was traded during a time where a lot of things were going on, and post that it was oof. I can't wait to get Baby back next season on the loan expiring.
I'm going to be very real with our viewers today. I was very drunk when I made that change. Um, yes. And you know what? I don't really regret it because I at least got the glory of the peel off machine out of it, and I made the two supporters I had at the time very happy. So, you know, there was some good that came from that decision. And honestly, Yeah, or sorry, not baby. Peel off machine. We'll see. I might use him this season. Obviously, there's FAs, but the changing every season, and this season I think we got a good one. So I think Peel off will probably not be in very much. May not see him at all, or you may see him a lot. I don't know yet. Um, but no, that's really all there is to Peel off. But Baby, I am very excited for Baby to come home next season. Hopefully Royals can even maybe improve on Baby. I think Baby was we left Baby in a pretty good position, but I also believe that there's always room for slight improvements, and maybe Royals will do the job that needs to be done to find that slight improvement on Baby. That would be actually excellent.
Well, you did half the work. They stuck with the AI you found in Piccolo AI, so it's mostly just moving on from builds, and they've been testing out some stuff. So for sure, will be when he returns, you know at least the AI's been doing well. It's just what's supporting the AI to go well, at least coming off. So do you just want to talk about then the other options available to the team, the master list section per se, so we're not staring at peel off machines face for too long here?
Sorry, can you say that again? I had an interruption.
All good. I was just saying, do you want to just move on to the master list and talk about the other characters that are out there for GT, or do you want to talk some more on Pilaf?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the master list.
So, few interesting, there's a lot of interesting things about GT's master list. There is one open character for it at this time, being Jiro. He's a meme
Ugh.
character in the league. Who knows? There might be some buffs given to him at some point. He's certainly not like unusable, but is certainly got a lot of limitations. So he is floating out there if they wanted to just pick up someone. Who knows? Maybe next season he gets looked at if Pan suffers, but she's been good enough. They have a few characters. I won't go over the whole list because there's a lot, but there are a few characters such as Super Perfect Cell, who if they did get Cell, he has to be in that form, or Frieza, who would have to be in final form. Um, and of course, Baby Vegeta being loaned to Royals, he'll just be returning. Oob can be in both forms. Nova Shen runs on Namek and Late Piccolo, so on a technicality, he could be. If it wasn't their two strongest characters, they could do a trade for Shin over there. Supreme Kai has to be in Kibito form, so lots of characters, even more than that, in terms of what's on their master list, but lots are form locked. So it's certainly an interesting time for you because you don't get as much creative control if you were to get some of these characters on your list.
No, absolutely, yeah. Honestly, though, I think I like it that way. I've never been a big fan of having to look for forms and stuff like that. It's always, I always felt it took away from testing time, and it's a necessary evil because obviously every form could act different, and you could find an amazing form that you weren't really looking at. But I'm slightly thankful that we don't have that creative ability because it does take up a lot of time to sift through every form for a character. And yeah, that kind of there's a benefit to it.
Yeah, for sure, and I can agree to that. It's weird because there's some forms you don't want to test, some you do, some like they all feel like you have to because you don't want to miss out, but at the same time, it's awkward because you're like,
Yeah. No, exactly. It is. It's very awkward. Like Oasis, like what's like your opinion on testing forms and stuff like that?
I mean, considering the only person on my team who's ever had a different form, quote unquote, has been Slug. And from what I've experienced testing him, trying to get him to transform at a reasonable pace has been excruciatingly painful because the AI would simply not do what you want it to do, or it would do what you want to do, but then it would break at like beginning portion or the end portion. Like figuring out the perfect recipe for forums on characters is definitely annoying. So I can understand why having to figure them out if you have the opportunity wouldn't be fun to say the least. So I get why having just one form and having to stick with it is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
My question to you is, if you could force one of these trades or loans to happen on your master list, which one would it be?
That is a fantastic question because I have honestly no clue. Um, all of the options look fantastic because I would love to work with late Piccolo again. Um, like I would love to work with late Piccolo again. That'd be awesome. Having Nova would also be cool. Um, honestly, Majub, I think would be one of my tops, as well as Super Perfect Cell and Final Form Frieza. Those three would definitely be my top three if I was able to force a trade. It would have to be one of
Yeah, those are definitely
Fair.
some big ones. I think Oasis, he targeted you a little bit. Might be a little hint about a trade or a loan.
them. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, we'll see.
yeah,
If I if
well,
I beat
he's
you in the
up
season,
to.
you have to loan Shenron to me. We're trading Shenrons for a season.
Hey, honestly, I think I might be down with that. Like, I don't know. Just yeah, we'll see how 2021 goes.
But what are your thoughts on getting Jiro though?
Oh,
Because
no, never.
what do you
No,
mean no?
Well, I
no,
mean,
I don't
just
want Jiro.
yeah, we know
I
most
don't want
people
to
don't
touch
want
Jiro.
Jiro, but like if they made a change for like he had his health grab back or something, is there like any world? Like again, I don't nothing's planned from what I've heard, and obviously this season there's no more big changes coming, but is there like any world in which Jiro like they if they do a slight buff or something that you'd at least look at him?
Um, I don't think so. I don't. Well, actually, no, because you know what? If Pan were to, and I love Pan, but if she were to go out the door, I think I actually, yeah, I might look at Jiro because I would want the minimum to be what Pan's capable of, and I do think Jiro can match Pan's capabilities. So there is a world in which I would look at Jiro.
I know he's had his issues, and everybody knows that he has. But 19 is basically another Jiro, and he's been able to survive in the league. So we know that even with their lower rates, the benefit of being an android is still something, and that grab, even though it doesn't take health, takes energy. So he does float around out there as a possibility. I know most people are hoping he gets a slight buff since he should be a character viable in the league for sure. And I've asked every team that he's been on their master list, and I think they would all be synonymous with you in saying, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, yeah. But there is, yeah, like as it is right now, I would not look at Jiro. But there is, you guys are correct. There's a world where I definitely would consider Jiro.
Because obviously, otherwise, most of the characters on your list are pretty high contention characters. Lots of androids. The only one that could
Hmm.
potentially be dropped would be Super 17, but that one's like a very, very, very low possibility. However, due to being that you guys have baby, you can do a trade or loan for, uh, if you wanted to do Android 17 or Cell at one point. I wouldn't be surprised to see a loan because both of those are pretty strong characters, and for baby, that's certainly something they would be open for. And obviously, you can do your bets with Oasis here on some of his characters, but otherwise, it becomes a lot more limited from then on in terms of matchless possibilities because drops are not very common.
No, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, honestly, Oasis, I would be welcoming to a possible discussion far down the road about, maybe the Shenrons or something like that, or yeah. But yeah, that's always a possibility. Everything is obviously possible. So,
True, true, true. I mean, I won't lie when I say if there is a world where I would be willing to lend you Nuovo Omega, especially if but it would take quite a bit of factors to just line up perfectly to make that decision, rational.
yeah, of course.
Right.
I mean, I could
Although I
see
will.
easily from talking with Donut that the trade with Android or a loan with androids is on the field, so that's why I said that. But yeah, Oasis, you're looking at. a lot harder times for sure.
Right. I mean, things are looking up to some extent, but I was actually going to say in regards to the androids trade that I don't even think staff would allow that. Because imagine a team of androids with essentially no weakness.
Well, no,
That's a bit
they have to
scary.
trade. They have to trade 17 or sell. So they have to give up a
Oh,
big
oh,
gun
oh.
for baby. That's what I was saying. Like I
Okay.
could see a loan of baby for 17 maybe. So now GT has 17 and androids gain baby, or they trade cell, and because they can't use perfect cell, it has to be super perfect. That seems even more likely if they're like, yeah, we want to do a season without cell. We'll gain baby as a power up because he's also a very carry-esque character, but they're locked to
Right.
super perfect. They have to be in the final form. So that's why I say that's something
Which is
that,
fine.
yeah.
Right, right. I mean, which is fine since we've seen Super Perfect do as much, if not more, than Perfect Cell. What I thought you meant originally was that they would trade Super 17 for Baby.
Oh no, that.
And yeah, yeah, considering that future, we're in the wrong timeline.
I mean, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Peel off for baby. So, no, the staff would never allow it. It's yeah, the androids would become way too strong in that situation.
Yeah, it would have to be for one of the heavy hitters for sure. But that is something that after the season, who knows? It might be a possibility. If they do a season without Baby and do fine, and he is on a loan, they could again loan him out, but this time for something that maybe has a little bit more haymakers in their system. Uh, I know Pumpkin Pilaf's been a decent character, but when you're trading away Baby, you kind of need something of equal magnitude. And while Pilaf certainly is a character who will come in and be a consistent 35, Baby was like 50k. So
If not
it
more.
was a, it was a, I, it, there's no harm on Zal, and honestly, this next season they're looking to come in with some decent power, finding super, having the changes that have happened have given them open availability with three other characters in Super Saiyan 4, Vegeta, obviously GT Goku, and as well as Shenron. So,
In regards to the future, actually, now that we're kind of on that, I have two questions for you, Zal. A, what do you think? What do you think your win loss is going to be at the end of the season? And then two, what teams are you looking out for in terms of they're going to be a hard matchup? What teams do you think are going to be a lot easier than others, if any?
Um, that's a great question. Okay, so, well, win-loss record, I'm hoping, I believe I went either 8-7 or 9-6 last year, and I'm hoping to achieve, well, again, 8-7 or 9-6. Either one of those, I would be happy with. But as for teams that I'm really like, well, obviously we've got androids and muscle, and yeah, those two are always right up there because obviously they're nearly unstoppable. But I guess kind of a sleeper team that I'm looking at, Royals and Cinema are both looking to be North Kai contenders, like top tier teams. And
Right. Why you say that? If you don't mind me asking.
well, Cinema I do think will, I mean, in testing there's been ups and downs, obviously like with any team, but I trust that Snuffy will be able to pull Cinema together completely by the time the league starts, and I really think that with the massive potential they've got, I think you know they're almost guaranteed to do really well, at least hitting East Kai. And freaking the other team, Royals. Well, Royals just got baby, obviously. Um, they've they still have Majin Vegeta, if I recall correctly, and Deborah, who are both looking phenomenal. Um, and between those three right there, it's you got like an A squad right there, and that leaves there's two other members of their team, and I can't remember who they are even. Oh,
That would be
Slug.
Metacooler and Slug.
Yeah, Metacooler. is consistent. I think like he has. I think he can. I think he can reach a place of consistency. And Slug has been doing really well in the tests that I've run. So I do honestly think that they will. People might not expect them to come up as quick as they will, but I think that they'll have a crazy good season.
Yeah, I think both teams have powered up a lot in this offseason. Janemba, as they have Cinemas bragged about, gets their 60K quite often. So there's certainly going to be a lot. I think every team is powered up though, so there's going to be a lot of scariness in the air for sure coming in.
And obviously, then there's also Oasis, your team. You've got Namek just sitting there with late Piccolo, and I know you hate to say it, but but I am scared of late Piccolo and is it, yeah, Nova Shenron? Yeah, Nova.
Nova, late
Um,
Piccolo, tambourines popping, nails very consistent.
Nail can always pull through. Nail has
Hell,
pulled
always
through
full.
for you guys.
Honestly,
um,
the one like
oh,
I wish I could say he's. I wish I could say my team isn't as good as you think, but anytime you mention Dale, I can't say anything, can I?
yeah.
King Piccolo might be letting
Well,
you down a little bit, but I mean, at
yeah.
least he has tools that can be worked with, and while maybe he doesn't seem to use them, he at least has them. So it's better than what some teams have been managing for sure.
And then obviously, I think the last team on my list would be Door, your team, because well, honestly, you're the booze. That's it. You're the booze. Like you guys have ups and downs, but like I do think the potential you have is like a 10-5 season. No problem. Hey, last season you guys were like what, 13-2?
13-2, but we did get some substantial nerfs in this off season to counteract that record, though.
That's true, but I still see it. Like you guys have decent builders with you. Well, you and Scuddy are there still, correct?
Yes.
Yes. You guys are capable, more than capable, I think, of pulling together a 10-5 from what you've got. And probably even more than that. I can see
It's
that
going to be
being
awkward
possible.
because I think the only team that's not confident running into this next season is probably Budokai because they've had immense amount of loans and trades, so they're still a little
Mm,
unsure. But the other two hybrids and androids have kept very similar lineups. So, and we've seen
mm.
both of them obviously did well enough to hit North Kai for a reason too. So I'm worried about just about every team. So the amount of being a tester and being one who's run a lot of tests so far, I don't think there's a single team that I'm not like, that's going to be a win. Like, no, everything looking like it might come down to the wire. So this is looking like a great 2021 season.
I mean, consider it equivalent exchange. You're worried about everyone. Everyone's worried about you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to talk about, or should we get closing out the cast? We have indeed hit an hour, so you are feeling a little like you've talked a lot. It has been some time.
No, I think we've covered just about everything. And yeah, my voice is getting a bit hoarse. So yeah.
I will say one last comment. I appreciate, well, two things. A, I appreciate you being here. Two, I appreciate what you've done in the league. And then three, I appreciate you coining well, Ms. Murray coined it, but you bring it back up, the phrase "the bulldog fighter." It's not a phrase I've heard before this sit down, and I will probably be using that a lot more often, honestly.
Writing it down for commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that a lot, Oasis. I remember working with you for a long time on Namek, and yeah, it was always good times. And actually, honestly, maybe someday I'll come back. I don't know, but yeah, there's yeah, no, that's a lot of good things you just said about me right there, and I appreciate those wholeheartedly. So thank you very much. And it was a pleasure to be on the cast. I didn't expect it to be honestly this fun or engaging and stuff like that. It was really, really, really cool. And you guys have
Yeah,
done a great job.
for sure. We'll definitely reach out at some point during the season. Hopefully after you've won a divisional to pull you back in, and so we can hear you rave about your win. So that'll come at a later time as the preseason's around the corner. So With that, this has been Capsule Cast Teams. As always, if you want to join one of the squads, the link to the Discord, the website, and the Twitter are all in the description. If you go to the Discord and choose GT, you'll be in direct communication with Zal. So if you want to talk more with him, obviously Bujin's for
What's
me.
up? Come join GT. I need supporters.
Yeah, being a new team, he is still trying to increase the supporters, but every team is. So please feel free to come and join, have some fun. And with that, that is our Capsule Cast this week. So I'm DoorGuard.
I'm Oasis.
And I've been Zal.
I hope you guys have a great weekend.